Joining us now is Mr. Dave Sims, who is the play-by-play broadcaster on the Root Sports Network with the Seattle Mariners in his 14th season with the Seattle Mariners. You may also have seen Dave calling baseball games on ESPN as well as college basketball on ESPN, and he's native of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dave, thank you for your time. How are you today?
Going well. Go Philly. Go Philly.
So my first
Born and raised in Philly, but also, as somebody said, basically reared as a New Yorker the last years.
My first question for you here today is, how did you get your start in broadcasting?
I did a little bit I did a lot of college after playing football for 1 year, and then started out as a newspaper guy. Long story short, internship at Philadelphia Inquirer 73.4. Graduated, got a job in the New York Daily News, did that for 7 years, got the Satellite News Channel. That was my first broadcast opportunity. Satellite News Channel was an ABC Westinghouse venture competing with Ted Turner. All right, so I did that for a year, then went to NBC Philly, and then came back to New York and did some stuff for Dick Clark's United Stations Radio, and then landed a big job at WWSU Radio, did Sports Night, and then from that, the whole flower, the big apple, if you will, opened up, and then got opportunities working at NBC Sports. And anyway, a long story short, I got the turning point was getting a job at Temple University, did football there in the 90 season. And then from there, I landed at ESPN, and it took off from there.
So where does your passion for sports come from?
I grew up in Philly. Father, huge sports fan, was going to football, in the late 50s, early 60s. I was practically lived at Connie Mack Stadium where the Phillies played, Franklin Field where the Eagles played, Convention Hall where the Warriors played. I got to see all the superstars at the time: Mays, Jim Brown, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, all those guys. So it's in my blood. And then, my father used to play softball, and then he was a commissioner of the softball league in Philadelphia, Maine Post Office, basketball, the whole thing. So it's been my milieu as long as I can remember.
So you went viral over the weekend for a fantastic call of Mitch Haniger's single to left field in the 8th inning. Could you try to describe the energy and the atmosphere inside T-Mobile Park when he hit that single?
Well, come on. It was 20 years since the Mariners had made the playoffs, and this is the closest that, in the time I've been there, my 15th year, closest we've been. It's probably in the other 5 years I wasn't prior during that. Let's say they haven't made since 01. So, it's a city, Seattle, and a region of the Pacific Northwest that's hungry for baseball, loves baseball, and loves good baseball. And this team, it's been a great overachieving story. And, we had 45,000 Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. And everybody wanted to be a part of that history-making situation. And that's why the GoPro camera was put in there by Tim Walsh, our social media guy, because he wanted to chronicle not only have the audio calls, which you're going to get anyway, but actually see, even it's more, behind the curtain to see, me, Aaron Goldsmith, Rick Riz make the calls, and to chronicle, what would be a great time with the Mariners making the playoffs again. And it just so happened that, I was on TV that night. I had the last series of the season on TV, and it was an unbelievable moment. 4-3, and bases loaded. You got one of your best hitters up there, and he comes through, and it was pure emotion. All from the heart, all from not only being a broadcaster, but being a fan of the team, an employee of the team, and knowing these guys and knowing Mitch and seeing him since he came here from Arizona. And it was big for everybody. If you're a Mariner fan, it was just big, 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 and big. And it was, and I just reacted. I just reacted. I was wishing and hoping for something good to happen, and it didn't. And I showed my excitement.
Yeah, that natural reaction and what you said that really makes sense is being a broadcaster. You're not just a broadcaster, but a fan of the team that you call games for as well. So
that's different from being a national guy where you're trying to split down the middle. I'm the TV voice of the Mariners, and these are my guys. This is my team, and it's want them to win.
Absolutely. So what is something that you struggled with early in your career, whether it's with the news writing, journalism aspect, or actual broadcasting?
What do you mean struggle? Like what?
Was there something that you had to kind of work on that was kind of a learning curve for you once you got that first broadcasting job?
Yeah. Just some of the mechanics And then just being self-confident. Well, self-confident, I'm really hurt for that, but and applying it in the right direction. Um, and just learning the mechanics. I learned a lot of things I wasn't taught in school. I learned a lot, particularly doing radio. The TV a little bit different. So I always say it's like horseshoes and hand grenades. There's two different ways of doing broadcasts. It's a radio way to do it. We're describing everything you see, smell, and touch, and TV. You're adding captions, and pretty much it's a director's medium, and you're following what he's doing, and you just add pictures to that. So, and I think I had a really good foundation. I had, I grew up in the '60s where we had great announcers on all three networks, and then later I wound up meeting them as a sports writer or as a young guy in broadcasting along the way, meeting a lot of these guys. And I had the benefit of working with, when I was at MSG Network and NBC Sports in '88, Marty Glickman, who was the godfather of New York sportscasters. I mean, he was the announcer coach for both of those entities while I was there at the same time. Right. So what I hadn't already learned intuitively, or just from following the examples of the Scullys and the Lindsey Nelsons and those guys, Marty pounded home a whole bunch of other things, particularly for radio and for TV, and stuff that broadcast tenets that I hold on to now, and I pass forward to the younger generation.
So did you have someone that was sort of a mentor to you? I know you just kind of touched on that there for a second, but was there somebody that was a mentor to you maybe in college when you started in sports media?
Yeah, I mean, when I went to Little Bethany College, my advisor was Jim Carty. He was very involved in terms of helping me evolve as a newspaper reporter. He had been an award-winning print guy down at the Nashville Tennessean, and I learned a lot from him. And then when I had the internship at the Philadelphia Inquirer, I mean, Bill Livingston, a really great writer, went on to go to Cleveland, and a terrific columnist, just retired. Bill Lyon, Alan Lewis. I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys there. When I got to New York at the Daily News, the great Dick Young, Phil Pepe, Jack Lang, Norm Miller. I mean, all those guys were very helpful. And then on TV, I watched a lot of anchors. I mean, Brian Gumbel, Brent Musburger. I mean, Dick Enberg I got to meet Dick Enberg, and then turn out and wind up doing games opposite him when he was in San Diego. So it's been Marty Brenneman became a good friend and a mentor. Brad Sham, the voice of the Cowboys, I did Westwood One work with him. He's always been very helpful. So yeah, I mean, along the way, you need some help. You need some people to say, hey man, you may want to think of it. You're doing it this way. I think if you do it this way, it'll be better. And then you just learn on your own. You take your falls, you take your beatings, and just keep moving on.
So for you, you've done many different sports, obviously Major League Baseball as well as college basketball and the NFL. What for you is the most difficult sport to call?
Well, when you love them the way I do, none of them are difficult. I mean, it's just a matter. I've grown into doing it. I mean, I can almost, if you give me a couple of rosters, I can do a game right now. They're all great. I've been unbelievably blessed. I mean, I've worked my tail off too, but I love all of them. I mean, I hope that if I can I don't need a lot, but I mean, there was a time I was on 50 basketball games a year.
Wow.
Before I got the baseball job, there was a time there I do Saturday Big East football, do like 10, 11 weeks of that. Then I then concurrently do 18 to 20 weeks of the NFL.
Wow.
And then in the midst of the NFL season goes into January, but in say November, I'd start doing college hoops. So I do 50. So the only time I was really free for a long time was in summertime. And then that changed in '07 when I got the Mariner job. So it's been largely all about baseball. I mean, you count spring training. I mean, that takes me up from March through September 29, September 30, October 1, thereabouts. So I love them all, man. It's been really great.
So I know this is a tough question, but I've asked this of every broadcaster and writer that I've had on this show. What have been some of your favorite moments throughout the years?
Certainly last Saturday is probably number one. 1A would go, 1B would be Felix Hernandez throwing his perfect game back on, August 15th, 2012. I've called 7 NFL conference championship games. That's been a blast. There have been some other great playoff games that I've done. George Mason upset in Connecticut in the 06 Eastern Final. They were prohibitive underdogs, and they beat the the region's number 1 seed, Connecticut, to get to the Final Four. So those are a few, and there's a whole bunch of baseball games that have been great too. But yeah, those are off the top of my head. Those would come to mind.
Well, Dave, I can't thank you enough for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, Parker. Hey, best of luck to you, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching The Perspective on WWSU 106.9. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and follow me on Twitter @Parker Testa.